This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
Welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, today, Thursday, as expected, Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders visited the Steelers, as did Pitt safety Donovan McMillan. That's a local visit.
Guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So they get that one for free. So why not? And Sanders is, they about the fourth or fifth quarterback who has come in.
Yeah.
For a visit, or they even more of that, they've gone to the pro days and things of that nature. They're doing the due diligence on the quarterback class.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even say more than that. Not every year do they bring in pretty much all the top dudes not named Cam Ward. They're interested.
Not just the top. They've gone through all the dudes.
Yeah, you're right.
Like you're going, first round guys, second round guys.
Shuck was in early. Dart's on the list. I don't know if he'll end up getting here or not. Who knows? I think you said McCord's on the list.
Yeah.
Dart was here?
Dart was here.
Oh, okay. You think McCord's scheduled or something like that?
McCord is scheduled. We'll see if that happens.
They took Milroe to dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're in on all these guys.
They saw Howard at the Ohio State Pro Day.
Yeah. They're dialed in for sure.
They're looking.
And they should. I mean, there is a quarterback need. A young quarterback need. I mean, right now you have Rudolph. I'm still operating under the assumption Aaron Rodgers will be a Steeler one of these days, but if not, I'm sure Cousins or Carr or somebody else will be, but certainly they're going to need to get a young one this year or next year.
Right.
I think next year makes a lot more sense, but there's a price for everybody, and I do find it interesting that Shedeur, just looking at it through his eyes, like when this process started a couple months ago,
he only wanted the top.
I
top
only
10.
talk to you.
Yeah.
I only talk to you. I mean, top 5 picks, so maybe, But now it's like, I'm getting a little nervous here.
I'll talk to you.
Right.
He wants to talk to me.
Yeah, right.
Here
I am looking for a job here. So I do think the draft. I want to talk about Sanders more too, but I do think the draft sets up to be a little more interesting now. With, frankly, I was hoping the Browns or the Giants, especially the Browns, would have taken Sanders because I'm not big on him. But it also would have – I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to take the 2 premium guys in some way, shape, or form. Carter and Hunter go 2 and 3. But I do think there's a lot of Browns and Giants aggression to get back for the Darts and Sanders or Shuck Milroe.
Yeah, the Browns have, 11 picks?
They got a ton of picks.
Yeah.
And just think of it they're so ownership-driven. Get the stink out of the Watson, out of your fan base. And if you could get both Colorado guys to come in the building, no matter what it costs, whether it's good business or not, people would be pretty excited in Cleveland,
Yeah.
And, hey, they got the picks to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how high up they would have to go to do it. I saw a mock draft. I can't remember who did it. Was that the one that Dane did, Brugler, where he had him trading up to 15?
I sent you one from McShay.
McShay.
Both the Giants and Browns traded back into round 1.
Yeah.
Which I think ownership's putting a lot of pressure on these teams to get their quarterback now.
Yeah. And, that's – again, if you're looking at next year for the Steelers, that's going to be the situation they'll be in next year, where they could be that aggressive.
Yeah, right.
Because you've got all those extra picks.
And I think that's the time to do it. People know I am infatuated a little with Milroe. I like Shuck, but I'm not talking about trading to 7 to get those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, getting in real high. My problem with Sanders and Dart is I don't think their ceiling's high enough. If I'm going to really take a swing, I'm trying to hit this one out of the park.
Well, here's one of the issues I have with a guy like Dart.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a warm weather quarterback his entire life.
Yeah, the weather stuff worries me a little bit from both those guys.
And then, Sanders, while he did play in Colorado the last 2 years, I don't know that he throws the ball well enough.
I don't know
to cut
that
the wind in a
Josh Allen, Ben Roethlisberger like fashion. Yeah, that worries me too. And what I like about Sanders' game is he's not a power thrower, but he is a very accurate timing, touch, good arc on the ball, whether he's moving or in the pocket, throws the football well. His completion percentage is really, really high. But like all these quarterbacks, and more so than most of them, There's a lot of screens, and there's a lot of where's Travis? Let's throw the ball to Travis, and he'll save me. And they didn't protect well, so the ball came out quick a lot. But when it didn't, he got a lot of sacks, and they were a lot of them on him. I see him drifting backwards in the pocket a lot. That's like pocket mismanagement 101.
Patrick Mahomes can get away with that because
Lamar's good at it.
Because he's got the arm.
Right.
Like if you're going to drift backwards on that.
Yeah. I mean, you're begging for sacks. So there's a lot that I just don't think he's at high enough ceiling. And Dart's the same way. I don't see any superpowers.
I'm with you.
Right.
You took that swing already with Kenny Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they took Kenny Pickett, all along pretty consistently said that, his ceiling is
Cousins.
Yeah,
or, right.
He's going to be Andy Dalton or someone. That was what you were looking. Okay, at that point in that situation where Ben Roethlisberger had just retired, you would have taken that.
Sure.
Just give me average quarterback play. I've got
a good defense.
I've got everything around this guy. Now I want more.
Mm-hmm. That's a thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, the quarterbacks you're competing with on a week-to-week, let alone year-to-year divisional basis isn't fun.
Well, just look. I mean, their last 3 playoff losses, since everybody likes to focus on that. Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. That's who you've lost to in the playoffs.
Who they get eliminated every year. Well, to those guys.
Yeah, to those guys. And the only guys who've eliminated those guys are those guys.
Right. The only one that ever beats those dudes are those dudes.
And
right.
Burrow.
They're right. So is there any possible way that we can get that guy in Pittsburgh? There's a way. I mean, it doesn't mean you got to take a big bite at the apple, not a lot of little ones. You know, I mean, you got to take a big bite. And again, if you think Milroe might be that guy 2 years from now, I'm in. Otherwise, I'm trading up to the 6th pick in the draft next year, no matter what it costs me, if there's a dude I love there, or whatever.
There's got to be the depth. You're not going to get to number 1.
Probably not. Right.
Unless you're going to give up multiple first round.
You'd have to have so many injuries. Yeah. You can't start at 20 and get to number 1.
That's it's just not possible. But if there's 3
If it's like the Josh Allen year.
If there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks in next year's draft, you can get into that top 10 and maybe get that guy, because all those teams picking in the top 10 next year aren't going to be in need of a quarterback.
Right.
Are the Tennessee Titans going to be picking outside the top 10 next year? I don't think so.
Not. Right.
Yeah, probably not.
There'll be 2 or 3 new teams that arise. Is that the Saints, the Colts? Who knows? But the 6 teams that took one 2 years ago, I'd have to say are unlikely to be cashing in their chips.
Yeah.
Maybe Carolina would if Bryce Young falls on his face, if they're picking first or second. But that's a story for another day. But even if like the Browns or Giants trade up for Dart or Sanders or Shuck or whatever, they're probably got another year of sitting on those dudes.
Yeah.
And Tennessee does for sure.
Right. So I just think
you might be one of 5.
Right.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even count the musical chairs that happen with the veteran guys.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There may be somebody out there. Again, nobody saw Geno Smith getting moved this year.
Right. 100%. So there is that stuff. But I'm not super interested in a Geno Smith ceiling.
No, I'm not.
And I love Geno Smith. He's a really good player.
Trading for Geno Smith,
that's a different world.
Is a different world than drafting Geno Smith in the first round.
Right. Even at 21.
Yeah.
Let alone putting your chips in for next year. Yeah. Because there might not be anyone there next year. I mean, again,
there might not be.
Who knows?
Yeah, you just don't know.
But I'm not going to settle for a leadoff walk with Sanders or Dart.
No.
No. It's a good start. It's not the start I need to beat Burrow or Lamar and those guys.
And the other thing about it is if you take that guy at 21 and everything that you see, he'll be in 2 years or 3 years, he'll be a good average starter.
I need to aim bigger than that.
2 or 3 years, you're gonna have an average starter.
Right. Again, I just need the upside more than
2 or 3 years from now. Cam Hayward's retired.
Right. Yeah.
T.J. Watt's going to be on his way, to retirement.
Cam's age. Yeah.
Like I'm not interested in 2 or 3 years now. I want to win now.
And I want a guy that when they're long gone can be Ben Roethlisberger and put a cape on. Right. Yeah. I need a guy for the next 15 years.
Because I'm going to lose those 2 corner pieces.
I'm going to lose everything.
Yeah.
These guys, I'm hoping this guy outlasts everyone that's on the team right now.
Right. I'm trying to build that.
I want him to play over a decade.
I want that next cornerstone on my defense.
Yeah.
If I can get that at 21 this year, which defensively, we've talked a lot about this draft.
Yeah.
I think
red paint the barn red.
Last year's draft was more of an offensive draft.
Oh, tackles and receivers.
And quarterbacks.
Yeah.
This year's the opposite.
No question. D-line.
Yeah. Edge rushers. Even.
And as strong as running back is, I can still find a running back. Like, who cares if it's a big, strong running back class when you're looking at big picture.
But when you talk about who's top 100, were you talking about the other day that 39 guys in the top 100 are going to be defensive pass rushers of some type, big guys or edge rushers.
Right.
That's the strength of this draft.
Get 2 of them.
Right.
So no, and we do that all the time. I mean, there's so many D linemen here. You're crazy. Again, if Shedeur falls to you at 21, that's an interesting conversation. I would consider it, yeah. That's an interesting conversation, But you snatch him up. You're definitely not trading back if that's your pick. Take him at 21, and then my first D lineman's third round, kind of late.
Pick 83.
Yeah, and there's some good players there, but the next Cam Hayward's not there.
No.
No.
You may get a nose tackle.
Yeah.
And your defense will be okay.
You're happy.
Then you're taking a 4th round running back.
Right. And all of a sudden it's like
the fits don't match up real well.
Right. You're not adding enough to this class for today, too.
Yeah. Now, that being said, again, I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth. You're getting Fautanu this year.
Sure. Yeah.
You're getting Roman Wilson this year. You got nothing out of either one of those guys last year. And even, Watson and
Lee and
guys like that did nothing for you as rookies. So you're going to get something out of those guys. You could kind of roll those into this year's rookie class.
That's why it doesn't break my heart if this is only a 6 or 7 player draft.
Right.
It doesn't need to be 10, but 10's better.
10's better. I want the quality. I want the guys who are going to help me now, not 3 years from now.
Which is why they made the Metcalf trade.
Yeah.
As opposed to I don't know,
Burden or they could have drafted a receiver in the second round. There's going to be plenty of guys available in that second round.
Right.
Or
you could take one in the first. If you didn't have Metcalf, you'd almost have to take one in the first, or it's strongly considered.
Would have been
now.
Strong consideration.
Right.
Now it's not. It just isn't unless you're going to move Pickens, and I don't think they're going to move Pickens.
I don't either. So back to the Sanders visit and all visits. I've been meaning to say this on the show for a while because I was lucky enough that year with the Browns to kind of be on the other side of this. And because Dane said this on a podcast yesterday I was listening to, and I just want to cut and paste what he said. He's like, people look at these 30 visits the wrong way. If you're a 30 visit, that doesn't mean we like you. That means we're interested in you. Either we have interest to find out more about injuries, arm length, questions, get you on the whiteboard, personality fit, whatever. And Dane said after he said that, which I think is great because I know it's true, he said, so many teams get in touch with me after 30 visits and say, I erased their name from the board the second they walked out of the facility. Like, is he a personality and scheme fit for us? The answer's not always yes.
Right.
You might just be like, I don't want to be with that guy.
Here's the thing. You only get so many sit-down interviews at the Combine.
Right. And they're short. They're 15 minutes. Yeah.
And so you may not, or maybe you sat down with somebody at the Senior Bowl or the East-West Shrine Bowl, and they're short meetings.
They're speed dating.
Yeah. And I want to know, I got to know more about this guy.
Yeah.
Are we going to eliminate him? Are we going to take him off our board completely? Or are we going to bump him?
Especially times 1,000 if it's a quarterback.
Yeah.
And Sanders is a big personality. That could be fine.
Yeah.
He's changed 2 programs. Is he going to take us to the promised land? Maybe the answer is yes. Maybe he walks out of like, nah.
Here's the
door number 2.
The changing 2 programs thing is interesting.
It bothers me, especially the first one, by the way.
You know what Colorado's record the last 2 years was?
I think it's a little over 500.
13 and 11.
Really?
Now, I understand. They were dead in the water.
Right, bottom
but
of the sea.
But he wasn't the only one that transferred in there either.
Well, I also think, with all respect to the historically black colleges and Jackson State, and there's some great players that came out of there.
Absolutely.
But if you put the best recruit in the country,
which was Travis Hunter, and another 4-star quarterback to that program, you better turn it around. Like, you're kind of cheating. Like if you put the best baseball player in Double-A, I bet he's pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what they did.
Put it this way. I mean, when Mason Miller got to Waynesburg, and he wasn't what he is now.
He wasn't a super recruit like Hunter, right?
But he had. You saw some tools there. I mean, he's 6'5", but he had diabetes.
Yeah.
Once they figured out the diabetes stuff, and he starts throwing in the mid-90s in Division III baseball,
he doesn't belong.
He didn't. Yeah, he was just blowing guys away.
Yeah.
That's what you would expect. That's what you're looking for with any prospect at a lower level.
Yeah,
I want to see them dominate at that lower level.
Right. I mean, can you imagine Hunter at that level? I mean, come on. I mean, it probably wasn't even fun for him.
Yeah.
You know.
So
you should turn that program around.
You should turn it around. But to say that, well, Shedeur Sanders turned this around. I saw a tweet from somebody that said.
And Dad had something to do with it, too. He's
a
pretty good recruiter.
He brought a bunch of guys in with him.
Pretty good recruiter, yeah.
And they decided to spend money. Shedeur Sanders' legendary. It was a tweet from NFL.com.
Really?
Shedeur Sanders' legendary career at Colorado. I'm like, are we just pinning legendary on everything now? And I'm not blaming Shedeur.
No, he was a good college player.
Somebody decided to tweet that out, and I'm like, really, legendary?
I mean, Hunter's is a little more legendary.
I would say so. He won the Heisman.
He won the Heisman in a year that Genty was a maniac. You know, right? It wasn't
over
really
2,000 yards,
right?
And he won the Heisman. Because
he
was the best receiver in football and the best cornerback.
Yeah, never left the field. Right?
Like that's legendary.
Right.
Sometimes we throw those words around a little too much.
Way too much.
But no, I mean, I don't dislike Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback.
I don't either. I just want to aim higher.
I just don't know that that's what I want to do this year with this particular team.
Mm-hmm. Especially knowing the resources next year too.
Yeah, I would be much more interested in again addressing some of those needs and then taking the quarterback. They're gonna have a fourth quarterback in camp.
Mm-hmm. And assuming Aaron Rodgers signs with this team, Sanders wouldn't play a snap this year.
No,
he might not. He probably wouldn't even be the 2. I mean, that's a debate.
Yeah.
It doesn't do much for me.
It really,
unless I think he could be the best player in the league.
Yeah,
which I don't think he can.
Yeah, this is not taking Patrick Mahomes and letting him sit here.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
Or Josh Allen really could have sat his first year. He'd have been much better off. You know.
But anyway,
Lamar basically sat most of his first year.
Yeah, he did.
You know, right.
So I mean, I get it.
If he had a ceiling like those guys, cool. I'm interested.
Right.
You know, I just don't see the ceiling.
Let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt on the message board today, you get a chuckle out of this. Once again, somebody ripping us for our Mason Graham stuff.
Okay. That's fair. I got no qualms with that.
All the draft pundits and all the NFL teams have him ranked as the number 1 defensive tackle. Well, first of all, you don't know where the NFL teams have him ranked at.
No, you certainly don't.
It's not like somebody's putting out a list and saying, here's
the Chiefs draft board, right? Yeah, they don't publish that stuff.
I get all the draft pundits have him where they're at. Mm-hmm. But the thing that kind of ticked me off about the whole thing was you guys are just a couple of radio hosts doing this. I'm like, Matt worked for an NFL team. I've covered this team for 33 years.
Right. I mean, they just find us off the street.
You guys didn't play the game. Neither did any of those other draft analysts, for the most part, that you're talking about who have these guys ranked.
Well, and the other thing, too, is if I were, and we do, for our Triple Take series, we do a generic defensive tackle ranking.
Right. And we all had Mason Graham as the number 1 guy.
He was 2 for me. I had him behind Nolan.
I'm just talking about where we had him going in our mock drafts.
Oh, in our mocks. I was talking about my D-tackle rankings. But if you do it through a team, it's way different.
It's different.
I mean, Daniel Jeremiah will tell you that. When I did it for the Ravens, it was different than I did for NFL.
Explain that all along. I'm looking at this through a Steelers lens.
Right.
Not an overall picture lens.
Right. If I'm doing Peacock and Williamson, that's a national show, and they say who are your top 5 defensive tackles, well, in a generic world, he'd be number 2. For the Steelers, he isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Not that hard.
Right.
Which brings me to Eric Edholm's top 100.
Oh, okay.
On NFL.com, and he has Abdul Carter number 1.
I have a hard time with that.
Carter just went through the medical recheck today.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Came off clean. He's not going to need surgery
on the foot.
Okay.
So I assume we'll be getting a lot of those type of things.
Yeah.
You know, Will Johnson's going to run, and
that's going to happen, I think, next week.
Yeah, like what's Ravel's injury and those type of dudes.
Same thing with the Notre Dame cornerback. Mm-hmm. Those guys are all going to start doing some stuff.
Because they want to do it as late as possible.
Right.
To give you more healing time.
But I guess the medical rechecks in Indianapolis were today.
Oh, okay. So we should probably explain that a little bit. Like, if you get flagged in Indy, they basically tell you, we're going to invite 10, 20. I don't know how many.
That was a month ago.
That was a month ago.
So now you
right.
get to come back a month later and they check and see where you're at in your healing process.
And I don't think all 32 teams send a doctor to that. I think they just share information. Maybe they do. I don't know.
I would want to have somebody there.
I would too.
At least I would have at least my trainers there to take a look.
Someone I trust.
Right. Somebody who's going to relay the information. I don't know if I need my doctors there, but I want at least my trainers there that can then send the information back to my doctors.
Yeah. I didn't know who actually does the checks in terms of what doctor staff. But, yeah, I guess it would be smart to have someone from every team. You don't want anybody, like, hiding information.
Right.
Or anything
Yeah,
either.
you don't want to John Stallworth this thing.
Right.
Somebody hides the tape.
And plus, everyone deciphers these things different. Like,
right. That's
here's
the
the
thing.
knee information. Team Doctor 1 says, don't worry
We
about it.
can live with that.
Yeah. Right.
And Team Doctor 2 says, that's why you get second opinions on stuff.
Right. These aren't, in stone.
He has Travis Hunter, number 2.
I wonder if there is a list of who was there today. I bet that's hard to find.
It's probably hard to find.
Yeah.
You probably have a pretty good idea. Like if they haven't done any workouts yet.
Someone from one of the teams that might have to give us that.
Ashton Genty, 3.
Who was 2? Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
He has Mason Graham, 4, bumping him up a spot.
Fine. I'm not sure who 4 should be. I just will say
the problem with this draft.
That's my thing is most years there's no way he's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not over like Marvin Harrison Jr. last year.
That's even what. So here's what Ed Home writes: the draft's best 3 technique. Okay. Although Graham's shorter arms, 32 inches, and sub 300-pound frame are reasons to worry.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a typical top 5 prospect, but he lands here in this draft class that isn't overwhelming with blue chip talent.
Yeah, I think it's a bad year to pick 4 to 12.
Yeah, it's a really
real bad year.
You're in no man's land.
Like people say this is a terrible draft. Not all, but it's a terrible draft to not have a premium pick, but then be the next bad team.
And here's why. Like, all right, you're going to get your choice of the best of everybody else.
Membo and Campbell or whoever.
Who are good prospects.
Sure.
But they're not blue chip prospects that you usually get picking that high.
Right. That's why I think Genty's kind
You're not
of attractive,
picking as the last time the last time the Steelers earned a top 10 pick was in 2000, and their pick, they picked Plexico Burress instead of Brian Urlacher.
Yeah.
That was your, that's the kind
That's
of
what you're looking at.
Those are both blue chip guys.
They both were Pro Bowlers, and Urlacher goes to the Hall of Fame, and they're big time. Like
that's what you want picking in the top 10.
If Burress comes out of this draft, he's the first receiver taken.
Yeah,
I mean. He'd be in consideration 4 to the Patriots,
right?
But they don't have that option.
That's not the option this year. Right. That's not what's available in this draft.
That's why I think Genty's going to go early.
Yeah, at 5, he up a spot. He has Jalen Walker.
There sure sounds like a lot of buzz that he's going to go really high.
Yeah,
but there aren't many people his size that get double-digit sacks every year.
This is true.
Yeah.
At 6, down 2 spots, is Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end.
Fine with it. I think he's similar to a Bowers level, but I'd have a higher grade on Bowers.
He has Armand Membo and Will Campbell at 7 and 8, the 2 offensive tackles.
No real shocks yet.
And again, they wouldn't have been, either one of those guys would be in the top 5 tackles from last year's draft.
No, I don't know if you read the much of the beast. I just been scanning it. But Dane mentioned that Membo has a lot of Fautanu, similarities. I'm like, initial quickness, decent arm length.
Except he's only played right tackle.
That's the thing, too.
had played left tackle.
He would go ahead of both these dudes.
Yeah.
He would.
At 9, he has Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan.
Yeah.
That workout is coming April 14th.
I have a real problem with how he played this year, though. The more work I've done on him, he's preserving his body a lot and turning down tackles.
I think he made some business decisions.
Yeah, and some of his injuries, what he had played through. Last year's tape was awesome, or the 2023 tape was really good.
At 10, he has Cam Ward.
Okay.
Who's going to go
I would have him
1.
higher just because I think he's a top 5 pick any year he comes out, where these other dudes aren't.
11 is Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan.
I think both the tight ends are really solid prospects. I mean, they're high-quality dudes.
12 is Tet McMillan, the Arizona wide receiver.
Yeah, that's his first receiver then.
13, up 4 spots, is Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia.
I wonder how injured he was. I mean, that'd be a great answer to know.
He didn't test as well as people thought he was going to.
Not freaky.
14 is Matthew Golden,
Okay.
wide receiver out of Texas. 15 is Shamar Stewart, the Texas A&M edge rusher.
Like, would you take Stewart or Williams? Neither are going to be Steelers. I mean, those two edge guys, Michael Williams.
Michael Williams.
Better football player.
It's a better
Yeah.
Not by a lot.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're projecting, a lot of projecting.
A lot of projection.
At 16, down 3 spots, is Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall.
If he's clean, I bet he goes higher than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's some stuff in his background.
Well, I mean, he even addressed it. He was accused of sexual assault twice. One in high school, one at his first college. I think it was Virginia.
Yeah.
And he went to the podium and said, "Yeah, that's what happened. I wasn't
There were no
convicted
charges.
of either."
Yeah.
Right. But teams will know all about it.
17 up a spot is Tyler Booker, the guard
He's
out
one
of
that I think
Alabama.
would slip.
He's a pure guard.
He's a pure guard, and he's
a certain
sluggish.
style of guard.
Yeah, right. With all the outside zone stuff, he doesn't fit that.
At 18,
I think he's going to be the Ravens' first-round pick.
maybe,
That's their type of move.
up 11 spots, Jahdae Barron.
Okay. I mean, he's more zone than man, but he does a lot of things well.
Yeah, takes
You know?
the ball away.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he busts.
At 19, up 3 spots, Derek Harmon. The
There
defensive
does seem to
tackle
be
out
a
of
little
Oregon.
more.
He's got the prototypical size.
The length helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 20,
I'm starting to wonder if I would take Harmon over Grant. Just because it's easier to find noses. I mean, just for how the rest of the draft goes.
Right. 20 down 4 spots is Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia.
Yeah, you think he's pretty safe.
At 21 down a spot is Jihad Campbell, the Alabama linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
At 22 down 3 spots is Kelvin Banks, the offensive lineman out of Texas.
I found it interesting that Dane put him in the guards.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, he could be.
At
And he
23,
put Jackson with the tackles, Donovan Jackson.
23 down 2 spots is Nick Emuwari, the safety out of South Carolina.
You think he goes ahead of Starks?
I think guys who've shown that they can play the deep middle like that are more valuable than Starks.
I do too. I just wonder how, his freaky
Depends
testing.
on who needs what.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
big part of it. At 24 down a spot is Donovan Ezereku, the Boston College edge rusher.
He seems pretty safe too. I'm not sure what negatives we got on that guy. I mean, he's not huge, but
Variety of pass rush moves.
Yeah.
25 up a spot is Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri.
you hear a lot of stuff with him too. Not that he's, going to jail or anything, but he's about himself and not easy to be around.
A lot of receivers like that.
Yeah, and say he wouldn't be the first receiver in the league. It's a little
not at all.
selfish, or
At 26, up 7 spots, Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Mississippi. He's moved down. He's moved up.
I know. I just feel like there's misinformation out there. Somebody's playing games.
I think that's what was going on with Walter Nolan is that early in the process, a lot of people were looking, okay, this is a really good player. Mm-hmm. And then you heard, well, there's some off-the-field stuff, and so people started moving him down.
Well, everyone's like, he's been at 5 schools in 6 years, going back to high school. I'm like, okay, he was.
A lot of guys have done that.
I mean, he's also made a fair amount of money.
Jackson Dart did that.
Yeah, right. Like we were talking about Nolan today on my podcast, and I threw out there, I'm like, well, Rob Gronkowski grew up in Buffalo, but moved to Woodland Hills for his last year to get exposed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like changing high schools, it's not like it's not like the Bengals receiver from Bama, Burton.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't getting kicked out of schools left and right.
Kicked out is different.
It is way different.
And Nolan left Texas A&M when their defensive line coach got fired.
Yeah. They didn't say you got to go.
Right.
I mean,
he said, well, you're firing the coach. I'm going to go somewhere else.
and in today's world, if you're the top recruit in the country, I mean, he's been making money for a while now.
Yeah.
He's been with like a Ewers or, serious money.
27 down 2 spots is James Pierce.
He's one that
Tennessee.
we it happened to bring this up because we were talking about Nolan versus Pierce character-wise, and we were talking about Green today too.
Yeah.
And it sounds like nobody likes Pierce. Like he just is in his apartment by himself. Like he sounds like he's highly unlikable. Not that he's a bad guy, but like no one wants to be his teammate.
Okay. I mean, the tape is good, and he's smooth. At 28, down 4 spots, Kenneth Grant.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see him like 40, 45. I don't understand that. Yeah, I don't understand that.
And again, once you get past that top 5 or 6, these guys are all going to have similar grades.
They are.
29 up a spot is Emeka Egbuka,
Okay.
wide receiver out of Ohio State.
I wonder, and it's back to the Genty conversation, might teams just take safe picks like him? You know, like, I know I'm not hitting a home run this year, so I'll just be happy with him.
Egbuka's game is clean, consistent, and well-rounded. I think he'd be a perfect fit as a Tyler Boyd-like slot weapon and number 3 option. You taking that in the first round?
Right, no. I think he's better than that.
I
mean,
do
that's
too,
selling him short, but right.
He's never going to be a number 1. He was never a number 1 in college.
No, right. I 100% agree.
At 30, down 3 spots, Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. We'll see how the medical research do with
there's more
him.
information out there.
31 down 3 spots, Amarian Hampton, running back out of North Carolina.
Solid.
32 down a spot, Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback out of Kentucky.
Just looking at him a little more yesterday, too. And you know who John Ledger is?
Yeah.
He compared him to Jackson, who was a Steeler last year. Not in a good way, necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really fast. He flies around the field.
But he's just not
But he
very
misses
big.
tackles and bounces off things and sometimes gets run over in the run game. And just, that's what he is. You know?
He's a cover cornerback.
Yeah.
At 33.
When he said that, I'm like, oh, that's exactly who he is.
Yeah. 33 up 2 spots is Shedeur Sanders.
I may even have him earlier than that. I mean, I think he's a starting NFL quarterback.
At 34, holding steady, Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle out of Oregon.
He's one that could go a lot higher than you think.
Yeah, he's a true tackle.
He's an athlete, yeah.
35 down 3 spots is Gray Zabel, the offensive lineman from North Dakota State.
Get it?
Interior offensive lineman.
Yeah.
36 up 2 spots, JT Tuimoloau, the
It's pretty early.
edge rusher out of Ohio State. 37 down a spot is Donovan Jackson, the Ohio State offensive lineman.
Okay.
A lot of Ohio State
Buckeyes
here.
are well represented after winning national title.
At 38 down a spot is Mason Taylor, the tight end of LSU.
I think he's safe too.
Yeah. 39 is Landon Jackson, the edge rusher out of Arkansas.
I can see people all over the board on him too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure what he'd even do here, but some teams would be like, sign me up.
He's a 4-3 defensive end all day.
Yeah.
40, and that doesn't fit this scheme, folks.
Not so much.
Up 3 spots is Travion Henderson, the Ohio State running back.
Yeah.
41 is Siobhan Ravel Jr., the East Carolina quarterback.
I don't know if we'll know any more about him or not.
He probably goes somewhere early in day 2.
Yeah.
Just because. I can't use a first-round pick on a guy coming off an ACL, but I can use a second-round pick on him.
That could be a number 1 corner, possibly. Right.
Yeah. 42 is Tyleik Williams, the defensive tackle from Ohio State.
I'm a big fan.
And they said he pulled up lame at the Ohio State Pro Day. They're saying now it was a cramp.
Okay.
So
fair enough. He's one that if the Steelers traded down pretty heavy, like out of the first round, and that was my first pick, I'd understand. I'd be cool with it. Right.
43 is Carson Schlesinger.
He has a chance to sneak in the first.
UCLA linebackers are tough.
That's real tough.
44 is Jackson Dart.
That's about right. I mean, again, if I used a mid-second rounder on him and sat him for a year, okay. I mean, that's cool. But the middle of the first round?
Yeah. And here's what he says about him. There's plenty of round 1 buzz building mock draft in the mock draft building world for Dart, who has an above-average arm, good but not great athleticism, and a decent frame. I'm always just left wanting to see a little bit more anticipation and big plays out of structure on tape. He could be a starter in a year or 2.
Really bad deep passer.
Yeah.
I mean, like he has tools, but they're all B- tools. I mean, none of them are, I mean, he's good across the board physically, but I don't see any great trait.
45 is Jack Sawyer.
That's overrated. I'm not a fan.
46 is Nick Scourton. I'd have Scourton over.
Yeah.
47, down 6 spots is Azareye'h Thomas. I assume he dinged him because of his 40.
He plays slow, too. I mean, he ran 4.6 at a pro day,
Yeah.
which is probably a 4.65.
Right. 48, down 9 spots is Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa.
I bet he's going to be good.
Yeah.
Like, go to 2 Pro Bowls and have a good career.
You know, the problem with the Iowa running backs, and same thing, you don't see any Iowa receivers in this draft. They don't throw the football.
They have a certain style.
I don't know if he can pass block. I don't know if he can catch the ball out of the backfield.
That's a great point, right.
Like, they just don't do it.
This is not on tape. Right?
Yeah. 49 up 3 spots is Ariante Ursary, the offensive tackle.
I wonder if he
Minnesota.
goes higher than you think, too.
I could see him going
big athlete.
I could see him going early round 2.
Yeah. Like, if he goes in the top 5 picks in the first round or the second round, I'm like, oh, I understand. And
then 50 is Benjamin Morrison, the Notre Dame cornerback. He's working out April 21st.
Oh, okay, good. I'm kind of rooting for him.
Trey Amos, who the Steelers had in earlier this week, the cornerback out of Mississippi, is 51. Alfred Collins up 9 spots to 53, the defensive tackle out of Texas.
I think he's early to mid-second round.
Quinshon Judkins, the other Ohio State running back, is 54. Let's see here. Who else? Jaden Higgins, who the Steelers had in for a visit, is at 58, the wide receiver out of Iowa State.
Okay.
Jalen Noel, his teammate, down 14 spots to 60.
He seems to be gaining steam, I would have thought.
Yeah. Let's see here. Who else was in? We got T.J. Sanders, who we haven't talked a ton about. He's at 63 on this list, the defensive tackle out of South Carolina.
I mean, most years he would be 5 defensive tackle spots higher than that.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be your DT5 on a generic board.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jalen Milroe comes in at 68.
I can see people all over the board. I totally understand that. You run the shuck yet, or is he below that?
He's below that. Jalen Royals, the Utah State wide receiver, is at 69. That's down 11 spots.
Dane had him really high.
Yeah.
Like
I like
5
him.
or 6.
I like him as a player.
Yeah, I do too.
Ozzie Trapillo, the offensive tackle out of Boston College, might be the biggest riser in this whole thing. Well, no, there's somebody after this. Up 13 spots.
Okay.
He didn't have Isaiah Bond, the Texas wide receiver, in his first top 100 list. He got him coming in at 71. So he jumped a bunch.
He's another one I think there'll be mixed feelings on, depending what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know.
Josh Farmer is at 72, the defensive tackle out of Florida State, who was in earlier this week. Dylan Sampson, who visited the Steelers, the running back out of Tennessee, he is at 74.
I think Dane had him as his 5th running back, too.
Yeah,
Real high.
Good player.
Yeah. Another one I see a lot of mixed opinions on.
Savion Williams, the TCU wide receiver, who was one of the early visits for the Steelers, is at 75.
Weird one.
Yeah. Darius Alexander falls 8 spots to 76 for the Toledo defensive tackle.
Wish he was a little younger. But
yeah. Elika Yemenor.
That's one of my favorites.
Down to 78.
I think his best
spots.
football's ahead of him.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Good player. Let's see here. Tyler Shuck comes in at 82.
He's the next one behind Milroe?
Yeah. Steelers pick at 83.
No, yeah. I was considering
throwing that
floating
out
around there.
there.
Yeah. If you got
Throwing
D-line
that.
the first round and didn't move around, I'd be fine with that.
Let's see here. Who else we got? Jacob Parrish, the K-State cornerback, is at 86.
That's another good player.
8 spots.
Like He's another one. If he's 2 inches taller, he might be a first rounder.
Charles Grant, who we take a lot in the 4th round in our mock drafts from William and Mary, the offensive tackle, up 10 spots to 88.
We were talking about him today in the podcast, and my co-host was like, that dude's a cheat code for getting a discount franchise left tackle. You know, I mean, like he could be really, really good.
Yeah. Let's see here. Ty Robinson, defensive tackle out of Nebraska, comes in at 95. He was unranked before. Noel Williams, who we take a lot in our mid-rounds in our mock drafts, the cornerback out of Cal, falls 11 spots to 96.
Gotcha.
But, yeah. And Emory Jones, a guy that we've taken
top 100.
Yeah. He comes in at 98. The offensive lineman out of LSU, we usually get him in like the 6th round.
Yeah. I never understand that. That's why we get him a bunch. He looks like a 4th rounder to me.
Yeah. Cam Scatterbo at 99. That's down 12 spots for the running back.
I think long-term durability is just a concern.
Number 100 on Eric Edholm's list is Savion Jones, the defensive lineman from LSU.
Really interesting. Super active, long edge. He might just be a 4-3 end, but
he's big enough. He might be able to kick inside.
That's the question to me. You know, like I'd love to see his body, and do they think I can add 10 pounds of muscle, and can he hold up against tackles and do the things we need him to do, or is he just a, attack edges type of guy, upfield only? Got to figure that out.
I mean, Preston Smith, they used him in that.
Yeah. He's bigger than Smith.
He's bigger than Smith.
He's longer than Smith. He's bigger than Smith.
Smith knew all the tricks.
Yeah, and he's got some thickness, and he's been around the block, and he's grown man strength.
I can see that out of Savion Jones.
Yeah. I don't think that's crazy. Yeah. Maybe in a year from now too. He could be your inside kick inside guy too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that is Eric Edholm's list on NFL.com. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And there wasn't anything too kooky in there.
No, not crazy. There's some guys in there that,
yeah,
moving around, and the quarterback rankings were a little different.
A little different, yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, they weren't too crazy, but they were pretty low on all of them.
Yeah.
Including Sanders was like 31. Dart, I think, was well into the 40s, something like that.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's get
Ward
to
wasn't that high.
Yeah. Let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, for people who don't know, Matt and I never talk about what we're going to talk about. Very rarely.
It's pretty rare. Sometimes you know what's coming, but
I just want to hit him with something to get his initial reaction.
All right, let's do it.
Talk about. So let's go 5 bold predictions.
I have to come up with 5?
I'm not saying you don't have to come up with 5.
Okay.
We're going to come up with 5.
Okay.
You can start.
Okay.
And then we'll go to me, and I'll make a bold prediction, and then you make a bold prediction.
Draft stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, for the first round of this draft. In the year 2000.
I want to say something about the quarterbacks and that they're going to go higher than you think in terms of. Okay, I'm going to say Sanders goes before the Saints pick.
Okay.
Because, that's obviously a potential landing spot. Something happens. I don't know where. I don't know how.
Where I could see the Jets taking him.
Yeah,
that
could be part of it. Dart isn't available when the Steelers pick. And Milroe's not lasting too long in the green room on Thursday or on Friday.
Okay.
I don't think that's too bold, but quarterbacks just go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am going to go out on a limb and say that 3 tight ends go in the first round.
Wow. Do you think it's Taylor or Royal?
I think Taylor goes. I could see Kansas City
I
liking
said
Taylor
Chiefs
a
are
lot.
so sneaky, and I think there's a really good chance Dallas Goedert gets traded. So if you move, at 31-32, good teams, a plug-and-play son of a Hall of Famer. Okay.
And you start looking at Kansas City's pass catchers, and you're going,
Yeah.
But if you could get, hey, we can replace Travis Kelce eventually with this kid. Now you're talking.
The couple guys that they've taken cracks on aren't going to be it.
Yeah, they're just dudes.
They've been 4th, 5th round.
That kid has a chance to be a real star.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan. And he would help you win a Super Bowl this year, too.
Right.
I want to do something about when the third receiver comes off the board.
Okay.
I think it might be a while. And I'm not even sure Golden and Tet go super high. But I don't think a third one goes in the first round. And I bet he slips out of the top 40, maybe?
2 receivers in the first round.
I think that's kind of a bold prediction in itself. And it could be a wait after.
Okay.
I just don't think anyone's super enamored with the receiver group.
I am going to say that half of the first round, so 16 picks in the first round, will be guys that rush the passer.
Okay.
Half of the first round.
I bet we could come up.
There's only we're looking at 4 defensive tackles.
Right.
Everybody else is going to be edge rusher or defensive end, and I think they're going to be a premium.
Do you think? I think
I'm
we
saying
know
12 of those guys are going to go in the first round.
We talked to no end about the D tackles. The 4 you're referring to, I think everybody knows.
Yeah.
Do you think they all go in round 1?
I think they end up going.
I think so
one.
too. I think Buffalo. We talked about a tight end for the Eagles, but the Eagles, if Harmon's there or Nolan's there, they're going to say thanks.
I think you could. By the time we get to the middle of the first round, you could be looking at 8 or 9, 10 edge rushers.
Edge rushers, all the Michael Williams and those type of dudes.
There could be a huge run on those, and in the top 20, I think well over half of those guys are edge guys.
Wow. It's hard to do.
It's hard to do, but I think there's going to – you start looking at the team needs in that group.
Everybody could use one.
Everybody could use one.
Everybody could use one, yeah.
Whether it's an end, whether it's an edge rusher, whether it's a defensive tackle.
Right. I have a hard time coming up with something else. What do you think about the running backs? There's a handful of running back needy teams. There's a lot of good ones. They're pretty safe.
I think Genty's the only one that goes in round 1.
Really? See, I was sitting here thinking along the same lines, but from a broader perspective of there's going to be fewer taken in the top 50 than we really think.
Is Omarion Hampton as good as he is?
He's a good player.
I think he's a really good prospect. Is he better than Nick Chubb was as a prospect coming out?
No.
Nick Chubb went to the top of round 2.
The problem with Chubb was nothing in the passing game. But,
okay.
But he was, that was the knock. That's why he was not a first round.
I hear you.
But he was an early 2. Yeah, I think that adds up.
I can see that happening in this draft because it's so deep.
That's the thing. I think,
and I can see a run on them in round 2.
Okay. I say, when do you think they start coming off the board? Maybe round 2 is when pretty heavy, but it wouldn't shock me if even like a Judkins lasts to early 3.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
And like the Neals are going in 5.
Yeah,
Scatabo going in 5. Like everyone even
everybody
around
wants to get all the other stuff.
Things.
Again, you want to get I got to get an edge rusher.
Right.
I got to get an edge rusher. Running back or edge rusher. Well, the running backs are really deep. I can get a guy in the round 5 who's going to come in and help. I'm not looking for a bell cow. I just want a guy that can come in and help.
That's good, yeah.
But I can start this edge rusher.
Most of our mocks that we do that I'm happiest with is when we don't do around a top 50 pick at running back or so, And I like Hampton and I like Judkins and all those guys, but usually it's like, I wish we were better at the other spots than as opposed to running back.
Yeah.
So I think most teams will look at it that way.
That's 5.
That's 5. Okay.
There you go.
We
came up with the last one together. Because I was
about to say you made me do 3. And
I was going to go running back. I was going to say something about the running backs, and then I said one running back in the first round.
All right, real quick, your tight end one has my wheels turning. Where do you think the top 4 go? Do you think they all go in like the top 40? I think there's going to be a really long wait for 5.
Yeah, I think so.
I
think that we could see 4 in the top 40.
I think if you want one, you better grab one of those 4.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, we didn't get one and we got shut out. We'll take Ferguson in the 4th or something. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
3 tight ends. Remember I said 3 tight ends in the top.
I don't think that's insane.
First round.
Those 2 Super Bowl teams are hanging around out there.
Yeah. I think Kansas City could definitely take one.
Right.
They could look at that offense. They could get shut out on the offensive tackles and just go, you know what?
Might be like, it's okay. We just spent money on them.
We'll take Grant at the end of round 2.
Yeah. Right. Or a guard.
Or whatever.
They have money invested in tackles. Their left guard could be a second rounder.
So take the pass catcher, and he makes Patrick Mahomes' life easier.
And again, it's kind of like the Cam Hayward thing. Like, who's better to learn from?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Put a D tackle with Cam. Right. And put a tight end.
Have this Hall of Famer teach this son of a Hall of Famer and nephew of a Hall of Famer.
Walk around and do what he does. Right.
Except date Taylor Swift.
That might be a little problem, too. I don't think that's in the cards, but right.
Anyways, that's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, we are 2 weeks.
I know.
From the NFL draft, the 2025 NFL draft. 2 more weeks of draft talk. If you're burned out in draft talk,
we are a little
We are a little bit too. But
yeah,
it's. I feel like I got all these names buzzing around in my head.
Yeah,
and you can't. There's nobody knows everybody.
Of course not. But
somebody asked me about I think it's from Middlebury College, some Division III offensive lineman. I'm like, all right, this was like the second time on the message board the guy asked me about it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go watch some tape.
I've read good things about that dude, by the way. Yeah.
And he's like, what did you think? And I'm like,
he's better than everybody that Middlebury plays.
He was better than the Division III guys he was playing against. But, he said, well, there's some comps out there to Zach Frazier. I'm like, well, Zach Frazier was a second-round draft pick.
Yeah,
this guy's not going to be a second-round draft pick.
No, right. We've referenced the Beast a bunch, and it's not the only one, though. There are a lot of really good guides coming out right now, and you can just kind of dig deeper. It's one-stop shopping to know some of these names that are lower that you weren't aware of or whatever, too. But all in all, I mean, we've said this a lot. there's not much news these 2 weeks.
No.
I mean, maybe there's a trade.
Teams are all hunkered down, and
right.
they're doing their 30 visits, and you get the retests and things of that nature. But other than that, there's not a lot of news going on.
I mean, you're down there more than me, but I was at the Steelers facility Tuesday and just talked to one of their scouts briefly, and they're like, well, we did receivers today. We're doing safeties tomorrow. And, like, it's an all-day, one position at least. At least, yeah.
Todd McShay is a guy who digs into the draft deeply, and he does the McShay report now. He has his latest mock draft here 2 weeks out. And he has Cam Ward going number 1.
Yep.
Travis Hunter going 2 to Cleveland. And from what I understand in Cleveland, if they're taking Travis Hunter, they're playing him primarily at wide receiver.
I think so,
too. And the cornerback stuff is going to be secondary.
Which
no pun intended.
Yeah. Would you take Hunter or Carter if you're the GM of the Browns? I think Hunter's a better player, but Carter
makes me a better team.
Yeah. I just don't know if I could pass on Hunter. I think he's that special, but
I hear you.
But like, I always urge people, like, if you're a Steeler fan, who do you want them to take? I don't want to block Carter and Garrett.
Yeah,
I know that.
Right.
I mean, I guess Hunter could be good, not great at both spots, but I think I'd take Hunter.
He has the Giants then taking Abdul Carter at 3.
Mm-hmm. I would actually field offers if I were there.
I would too, and
you might get a lot.
Somebody did a recent one that I saw. Maybe it was on Pro Football Focus. Their guy had the 49ers trading up to 3.
I was sitting there thinking, what teams would do it? Niners. Niners have a ton of comp picks next year.
Yeah.
Panthers. I mean, they're always mocked at edge.
Yeah.
Could Atlanta give you the farm and maybe have a first pass rusher in their existence? And make the Julio Jones trade, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would listen if I was the Giants. I'd rather have Membo and...
Well, then if I trade back, now I have no problem taking Shedeur
And then
Sanders.
I take the quarterback there, or I have more firepower to get him next year. Taking another edge rusher when I'm good there, when I'm such a bad team and franchise.
I get it. I mean,
he's the best player. I get it, but I would really listen to offers.
4, the Patriots take Will Campbell. That's getting
pretty chalky.
Yeah.
Like, again, I prefer Membo. I understand why people prefer Campbell.
Campbell's a left.
He's a left,
right.
And I know Morgan Moses shouldn't
It's like
change
free
the
safety
world.
versus strong safety.
Right. They have nobody at left tackle right now.
Yeah.
Is Chooks their left tackle right now? I don't even think he's on the team.
No, he got cut. I think he released. He's with somebody.
Yeah. It's not good.
No. At 5, Jacksonville takes Jalen Walker, edge rusher out of Georgia.
I've seen that a few places, but that's another thing. It's like that's one of the positions they're good at.
Yeah.
Although Trayvon Walker can go inside, and he's a lot different than that Walker. The 2 Georgia Walkers are very different, like 30 pounds different.
At 6, the Raiders take Ashton Genty, running back from Boise.
That would be really hard for me not to take. Like, I'm not sure I can take Will Johnson there, or
At 7, the Jets take Armand Membo, offensive tackle from Missouri.
Okay.
At 8, the Carolina Panthers take Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan.
Like, that's a nice match next to Derek Brown.
Yeah.
Who's 330 and a monster in the middle. Give me somebody a lot
and
different.
a little older, and now you get the age difference.
Yeah, I like that.
At 9, the Saints take Jackson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss. He goes ahead of Shedeur Sanders.
I would take Sanders ahead of him.
I would too.
Yeah. I mean, Todd's pretty dialed in. I mean, I could see teams having similar grades, but okay.
At 10, the Bears take Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State.
I would strongly consider that too. I've never been a huge Kmet fan.
Just a pass catcher.
He's just a good player, right? I mean, just a good player for a young quarterback. I think edge is also in play for them too.
At 11, the 49ers take Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan.
They have a lot of needs.
At 12, the Cowboys take Tet McMillan, wide receiver from Arizona.
I think it's going to be McMillan or Golden. I don't know who I'd rather pair with Lamb, but both make sense.
Yeah, I mean, Lamb...
He can do everything,
He can do everything. You can play him more out of the slot if you have Tet McMillan, and that would work out perfectly.
I mean, they really don't have anything pass catcher-wise.
They really don't.
They traded for Mingo. That's a weird move,
At 13, the Dolphins take Shamar Stewart, edge rusher from Texas A&M.
There's one I don't agree with, Todd. I mean, they took Chop Robinson the first round last year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Chubb's pricey. Phillips is injured a lot, but they have 3 legit dudes.
Yeah.
That one doesn't add up to me at all, right?
They get other needs that they can
Unless
fill.
they're going to bump them inside.
At 14, the Colts take Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan.
They always get the tight end, which is kind of boring, but I don't see a huge need there for him.
At 15, he has the Cleveland Browns trading up.
Ooh.
The Browns send picks 33, 67, and a 2026 second-round pick to the Falcons for pick 15. If you're the Falcons, you making that?
I think I'd ask for more. That's a pretty far way to go from 15 to 33.
The 2026 second-rounder, though, could be pretty darn good.
It could. I'd say, could you get a first? I mean, it's a long way to jump.
It's a long way to jump.
And they'll still get an edge guy at 33.
But knowing that they're coming up for a quarterback, you're probably going to hold out for a little bit more.
And they take Sanders, I assume.
And they take Shedeur Sanders.
Again, I mean, imagine the Browns fan base if you could bring both Colorado guys in. I mean, it's kind of like when Houston went Stroud, Will Anderson.
Yeah.
You know, like, wow, okay.
At 16, the Arizona Cardinals take Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas.
That's a nice receiving group.
You went wide receiver, back-to-back years.
Yeah,
So.
And just paid McBride.
At 17, the Bengals take Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall. If there's a school, if there's a franchise that won't care about any off the field stuff.
I mean, unless it's crazy worse than we think, you know.
And I mean,
they've been
Marshall's right down the river from Cincinnati, so
I don't know that he can get past there. Now I think about it, that's like too good a fit.
He's a really good player.
He is a good player too.
Yeah. At 18, the Seahawks take offensive tackle Kelvin Banks from Texas.
I assume they'd bump him to guard in that instance.
Yeah.
Which make a strength. That would be a good pick.
At 19, Tampa Bay takes Jihad Campbell, linebacker
pretty
from
chalky,
Alabama.
but I
I'm going to consider
understand
him one of my pass rushers too because he rushes the passer pretty well for an inside linebacker.
Oh, for your bold prediction,
my 16, yeah.
Yeah, you're stretching it, but okay.
He had 5 sacks last year.
I mean, he is a good pass rusher, but he's a
pass rusher.
linebacker.
But
Yeah.
he puts people on he puts quarterbacks on the ground. At 20, Denver takes Omari and Hampton, running back from North Carolina. I think in this situation with the receivers already gone and all the tight ends, that makes a lot of sense.
That was the one landing spot where, on the bold prediction that could really stumble you. But I think I'd take Ted McMillan over him if I'm them, and then
He's
just
not
come.
available.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's for your prediction to come true. I think you need one of the receivers to be there.
Okay, Todd.
I only watched. I only scrolled to see the Steeler one, and I don't like the pick, but I kind of read the write up. It's not. It makes a little more sense.
At 21, he takes for the Steelers safety Nick Emuari from South Carolina.
Yeah. A lot of people ask me about him. I just don't understand why they even have much interest.
Here's what he says. I'm convinced that Aaron Rodgers will be a Steeler by the time the commissioner opens the 2025 draft in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if Shedeur Sanders were to slide here, he could be in play as a pick for the future. With Sanders and Jackson Dart off the board, I don't see the Steelers taking Jalen Milroe or any other quarterback. I'm with them on that.
Mm-hmm.
I put Derek Harmon here in mock 2.0, and that makes sense in terms of need. Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if Emuari is the pick. In this division, you need great safety play with the offensive attacks of Cincinnati and Baltimore. Emuari is a uniquely long, explosive talent with a versatile set of skills, and I think Mike Tomlin would love to develop a guy like this. Oh, and Emuari just visited the Steelers on April 4th. There aren't many first-round guys in their first 30 visits. Well, now there are.
Mm-hmm. Now they're starting to be now.
Yeah, and the Steelers don't draft many guys in the early rounds. They haven't had in for visits or worked out on pro days or privately.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they have done that with a lot of these guys.
Right.
There's more that group has grown considerably in the last couple of weeks and the pro days, and
I didn't mind the write-up, but I still would have just stuck with Harmon if that was your original thought.
Right, if that's your thought, go with Harmon.
What changed with Harmon? Right.
Taking a safety in the first round, even if you think he's going to be a great player, okay.
But it happens so seldomly, too.
They used a first-round pick on Minkah Fitzpatrick in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it? Well, 2020 was the pick, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 2020 pick, which was even
closer dedicated to Minkah.
Was dedicated to Minkah Fitzpatrick. You were able to get 2 safeties in free agency in the last 2 years at a reasonable price who are pretty good players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the need to then go out and draft another safety.
I mean, I'm not sure how much playing time he'd get this year.
Right. And by the way, your number 4 safety is an all-pro special teams guy.
Oh, he's going to be active.
Right. He's going to be on the team.
Right. I mean, unless you're thinking about trading Minka, which I think is insane, and I don't think they're even considering it.
They don't. I mean, yeah, they could play,
but they'd have to play a whole different style of defense because of it, of course. I think Elliott's contract's up after the year.
Yeah, but again, you could. Those guys are available every year.
I know. I got asked in a mailbag episode I did yesterday. They're like, "Man, is Elliott going to be like a $25 million player?" I'm like, "No, no. I mean, he's a really nice pickup, but he's not going to make that kind of money." Right. No, I mean, yeah, he's going to be affordable. They have money.
Safeties are affordable.
Yeah,
they just are.
Yeah, I just would have stuck with Harmon. I mean, if that's what you thought originally, what changed?
What changed? Yeah. The fact that they hadn't had him in for a visit yet and didn't go to his pro day, well, now that's changed.
Now that's changed,
and
right.
Todd's, that happened since Todd put this out or put this together.
So
at 22, the Chargers take Donovan Ezereku, the Boston College edge rusher.
That's possible. They lost Bosa and Max up in age.
At 23, the Packers take Mykel Williams, the Georgia edge rusher.
It's a lot like Van Ness and Gary and all their big edge dudes.
Here's where Todd might be going off the rails a little bit. At 24, the Giants trade, sending picks 34 and 65 to the Vikings for pick 24.
I'm sure the Vikings would love to get back.
I'm sure they would.
That works that's good team fit.
To get into 24 to take Jalen Milroe.
I know.
Now here's the thing. Once those other teams you're past the Steelers. You're past New Orleans.
So can't you just hold your water and take them in the early second round?
The Browns traded up. Tennessee's traded. Like, you could just stay where you're at 34. If you want Jalen Milroe, you'll get Jalen Milroe at 34.
Yeah, I mean, are you worried the Rams are going to take him? He doesn't seem like a McVay fit to me.
That doesn't fit.
I mean, that's the only playoff team I could see being in the quarterback market.
And if that happens,
life goes on. Life goes on, right? Yeah, you trade back and take shock.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Todd just thinks Milroe and then
wants to get him into the first round.
That's what I was thinking about Mari too. He thinks he's going to go around that neighborhood.
At 25, the Houston Texans then take Gray Zabel, offensive lineman from North Dakota State.
It helps somewhere.
Yeah. Not a tackle.
No.
At 26, the Rams take Jahdae Barron, the cornerback from Texas.
They'd be thrilled to do
that. That's a heck of
a
value.
I'd be thrilled.
At 27, the Ravens take Derek Harmon.
That bites you.
That's what
twice.
I don't want to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want Nolan to end up there.
Yeah. At 28,
I could see them being interested in Enuari.
Yeah.
I mean, swap those.
Definitely be very interested in Harmon, too.
Yeah.
As we always say, a lot of times the Steeler-Ravens guys are stealing guys away from each other.
I'd much rather Harmon went to Pittsburgh than Enuari went to Baltimore.
At 28, the Lions take James Pierce, the edge rusher out of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Seems pretty common, too.
At 29, the Commanders take Malachi Starks, a safety out of Georgia.
Yeah. It would be helpful.
At 30, the Bills take Maxwell Hairston, cornerback from Kentucky.
A little small for them, though, and not quite as physical as they probably want, but they could use a corner.
At 31, the Chiefs take Walter Nolan, defensive lineman from Ole Miss.
Don't let him fall there.
And 32, Kenneth Grant goes to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right. Like the smart teams just sit there and be like, "Well, yeah, you're going to give us
go ahead, Steelers, take a safety in the first round, and we'll take these guys."
And then the Ravens, Eagles, and Chiefs end up with your three.
That's
defensive
the other thing.
tackles.
Okay, so we know Andy Weidel was in that Philadelphia.
He was in Baltimore's too.
And he was in Baltimore's and was in Pittsburgh before that.
Yeah.
And the Steelers have said, hey, we want to build the trenches. They've only taken, since Omar Khan has become the GM and Andy Weidel the assistant GM, they've only addressed the trenches in the first round. And now all of a sudden they're going to take a deep safety?
And all their first and second round picks have been trenches or premium positions.
Yeah.
They're D-tackled Benton. It's Porter at the end of round 2. It's not a safety.
I don't believe the safety stuff.
I mean, the Weidel thing is dead on. But remember where Omar's background is. It's dollars and cents. It's salary cap. I don't need a fifth-round option on a safety, and those things.
That type of thing. I can get a safety for $5 million.
I can get Elliott and Thornhill for
or pennies on a dollar.
Not even close to that price. I
can't get these big guys. They're $20 million.
Right. I mean, if Williams from the Eagles that goes to the Patriots is making 27. Harmon could easily be that guy in 4 years or 5 years,
He's got a couple of bonus picks here since a couple of teams traded
the
out of the first round. Atlanta, after moving back to 33, takes Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle out of Oregon.
I would have thought there'd be an edge that would be attractive there, but
I think so. And at 34, the Vikings, after trading back, take Benjamin Morrison, the Notre Dame cornerback.
okay. I mean, if he's clean, they could certainly use him.
Yeah. I don't see Emiwari being.
I don't either. I like a lot of that. I like the Giants and Browns trading back,
being
in.
aggressive, and
that adds up.
I like the Browns more than the Giants doing it. Like, I don't see trading into the first round to get Milrow. You can just stay where you're at.
I don't either. Like, if it was trading up to get Dart, I would
really,
understand it.
Once you get past, okay, they traded up to 24. Houston's not taking him.
No chance. Talking about Milrow, right?
Yeah, I don't think the Rams would be interested.
It
in
doesn't
Milrow.
seem like a McVay fit.
I could possibly see them being interested in Shuck.
Oh yeah,
but not Milrow
or even Dart
or Dart.
Yeah,
but he's not available.
Right.
The Ravens aren't taking him.
No.
The Lions aren't taking him.
No.
The Commanders aren't taking him.
Mm-mm.
The Bills aren't taking him.
Mm-mm.
The Chiefs aren't taking him. The Eagles aren't taking him. Well, the Eagles could, but
Not in
I don't
round one.
see it. I don't see it in the first round.
It could be a Hurts move in round two.
And the
No way
Falcons,
they
who
pass
traded
on.
back with the Browns, they're not taking him.
Right.
So the only way you do this,
And then
if you're-
Tennessee's next,
if
right?
you're concerned with somebody bumping ahead of you to go get Jalen Milrow, and I just don't see it.
It'd be a team like the Steelers, but they have to come from 3.
Oh, they would have to, yeah.
Yeah, right.
You'd
They're
have to
coming
move.
from left field,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I don't know that they would have to do it.
Yeah. Would you consider that? Well, let's talk about this when we
right.
come back for the next segment. He's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, you threw out there the other day about trading to go get Jalen Milrow, and you said the potential
Be aggressive and right.
potential of taking him in the first round, all that stuff, and people panned it. Let's say in this scenario,
Okay.
you did take Derek Harmon in the first round.
Okay. You're pretty comfortable with your D-line at that point.
Now you're feeling
Yeah,
better
yeah,
about
yeah.
it, or you took Kenneth Grant, or you took Walter,
Yeah,
one of
okay.
those guys.
One of those 3. You stuck and picked at 21.
And then you see this happen with the quarterbacks, and let's say the Giants didn't trade up.
Okay. Day 1's done, and Milrow's still on the clock.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Okay. And let's say the Browns made that move. They went up against Sanders. Dart's
Or
gone.
it's at the end of the first round, and you think the Giants might be interested
Mm-hmm.
in Jalen Milrow. Would you trade into the first round to go get him after getting your defensive tackle?
I have to get my D tackle first, no matter what. And
See, I think that's where the disconnect was. You were talking about if you like him in the first round, you take him in the first round. Okay, then you're not getting anything else.
I know. And really, the best way to walk out of this with Milrow and a big time D tackle is you almost have to trade back from 21, at least somewhere. Because to get from what's their pick in the third round?
83.
80, okay. To get to 83 to 33, that's next year's first. I mean, easily. Yeah, I mean, and maybe more. I mean, that's the thing is if he starts slipping through the second round, I'm on the phone a lot. Maybe offering next year's second.
It's
essentially
essentially what It's essentially
assuming
what
you love him.
It's what the Ravens did to go get Lamar
back up.
Jackson.
Right. I don't remember where they came from.
The pick was 32.
Right.
Their initial pick was at like 25.
I was going to say, I assume they were in the early 20s of round 2.
So you're looking at I can call
but
it
they
up
only
here.
moved up 20 spots. They didn't move up 50.
So I'll call it was the
The problem is not having
2018
the second.
NFL draft. It was 18, right? Yeah.
You would have the trades in there? Like
Yeah.
what they gave up to get Lamar?
And where they were initially drafting it.
Yeah.
So
Because Hurst was like 22 or something.
I think he's like 25.
Okay.
Maybe that was just his age.
Maybe. He wishes.
So and they took Hurst, 25. Now
Oh,
that
wow.
was from Tennessee. Did they move down? Yeah.
Maybe they
so
got
were,
more picks.
So so Buffalo got pick 16 from Baltimore. And
Yeah, but
then
it's always hard to find draft
Trying-
day
is he
trades
trying to-
years later, like what they gave up and all that.
and then 22 was Tennessee's pick from Kansas City via Buffalo and Baltimore.
We don't know what pick they earned where they started in round
Well,
one.
I can. So the Ravens in 2017.
I mean, we don't even know that answer. If we just Googled the Lamar Jackson trade, they would tell you.
Yeah, I just want. So the Ravens that year were 9-7.
Okay.
In 2017.
So they were picking early 20s.
That was probably their somewhere in that mid-round. 16 sounds about right.
Yeah.
And they traded back. And they moved back. Yeah, they moved back to 25. I'm assuming they picked some stuff up. And then they moved up to 32 from Philadelphia.
Yeah, I just pulled up the trade here.
Okay.
They traded, in order to move up, the Ravens sent 52, 125, and next year's second for 32 and 132. So 125 and 132 really don't matter.
Right.
So they basically went from 52 to 32 with a future second.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
I mean, like that type of move.
That's not coming from 83,
Yeah,
which is why you have to, if you want to make that move, you got to trade back first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There has to be step one of the process. Get your D tackle that you're happy about. Even if it was Tyreek Williams. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, in that situation, if I got a lot of ammo and I move from, I don't know, the Rams pick in round 2.
They don't have one.
A bad choice, I guess. The Bills
Houston
pick.
or,
You
Buffalo.
know,
one of
somebody
those.
like that. Somebody you went pretty far back to get us, because even to get a second, I think you have to trade with, you can't move down 3 spots from 21 to 23. I don't think.
Right. You're probably not getting 8 to 2.
Right. But I would explore all options.
Now,
I
you
guess is the way
might
to
get 2
listen to it.
threes, in which case you might be able to move 2 threes in next year's second.
And next year's 3.
To get up.
Yeah. Right. I'm real interested in that. I mean, and again, I'm a scouting staff of 1 or 2, the 2 of us, and I read or watch. I don't sit down and talk with Mr. Milrow or know what he was like in first grade. But if I was convinced that all things lined up, I'm going to be aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially once DT is in the building.
And I think that's where I'm not interested in trading this year's first-round draft pick or next year's first-round draft pick to make that move. But if I can make it happen by moving around a little bit.
And I find my guy on the cheap.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out the cheapest way to get Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Or Josh Allen. Or
So again,
any path to possibly
they
get
move
that
back
type of
to
player.
then come back up and get Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. It worked out for them.
Worked out.
Yeah.
By the way,
Now they have more ammo than the Steelers than the Steelers do now.
Nick Chubb was the 35th pick in that draft. We were talking about that earlier in the show.
Yeah.
After Rashad Penny. Seahawks took Rashad Penny at 27.
That's the height, weight, speed guy, too. That should have taken the better back.
Yeah. Was there another back?
That was the Saquon year.
Yeah, Saquon went number 2 overall. Don't take a running back in the first round.
Right. That's not Derrick. I was thinking it was Derrick Henry year. It's not.
Yeah, he was earlier than that. But, yeah, Nick Chubb was the 3rd back taken. The 4th. Sony Michel went in the first round as well.
Oh, yeah. His teammate.
Yeah.
At Georgia. Okay.
So,
I know Chubb had a knee injury before at that point, too. So
Yeah.
maybe there was a little bit of medical.
So, yeah, I think if you did it that way, I could much more understand it. Like, and I'm only giving up maybe 1 or 2 of those future picks. I'm moving some stuff around this year because I moved back and picked some stuff up.
All right, hypothetical. Would you say yes or no to this? Day 2 is over. You have Nolan or Harmon or Grant or whatever, Milrow, and that's all you've got, and you don't have next year's 3rd. Or next year's 2nd.
Next year's 2. Yeah, because I know I got 2 threes next year, and I got a quarterback.
And I got a quarterback that might be the answer, and I'm walking into day 3 with all my picks for a nose and a running back, and if I left the first 2 days with just those 2 guys.
And I think with a guy like Milrow, if I were going to make that move, the 5th-year option actually
it's real valuable.
Is
Because the first
valuable.
year is not very good,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if he's going to
He's
Pro Bowls,
he's going to redshirt the first year and maybe year 2.
right.
He
Or
might
even
play.
a
I'm going to
part-time
find some
guy.
ways to get him on the field.
Right.
But he may not be my starting quarterback in year 2. But by year 3, he might be.
He might be. For the 5th year is really valuable to him.
Yeah.
Because if he's going to a Pro Bowl already, which is a 5th-year option thing,
Right.
well, then you're thrilled.
Right.
5th-year option's a bargain.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's like a Huntley Pro Bowl appearance.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong.
I mean, that's kind
I
of
want
what
5 years from him.
that's kind of what the Packers did with Love, to a degree. They didn't trade. They just took him where they were taking him,
and they didn't pick up the 5th-year option. They made a weird contract.
They knew he wasn't going to play.
Oh no,
the first
Aaron
couple
Rodgers
years.
was winning MVPs.
Yeah,
right. And Rodgers was 6 years younger than he is now.
Yeah. Just a thought.
I mean,
Food
you
for
might
thought.
have 2 big cornerstone pieces, a quarterback and a D tackle. And the other stuff you can fill in. There's not a lot of needs on this team.
No.
The rest I could fill in with day 3 stuff.
Yeah.
Another nose, running back.
I got to get a defensive lineman.
I got to get.
That's one of the things that I
still my
think
priority number 1 in this draft.
Everybody is overlooking in this draft. Everybody.
Yep.
That outside of Pittsburgh. Oh, you hear all these other stuff. Nobody in Pittsburgh is taking quarterbacks who knows squat.
Right. I mean,
but I got to fill that need first
because it's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's the biggest need.
Yeah.
Right. But franchise quarterbacks available, I'm going to be creative to get them.
Yeah.
A potential answer.
Again, if they think he's the guy.
Right. If they're like, I'm not sure, he's got a lot of work to do as a passer, I would 100% understand it.
Yeah.
You're probably right. Then, if he falls to me, I'll get him. Or maybe I'll move up a little.
Or if he's still available in the middle of round 2, I'll make that.
If it costs me my 3rd this year and next year's 3rd, and I got to move up 20 spots, okay. I mean, that's worth the risk. If he stinks, I'm still taking one in the first round. Or even if he's just okay, I'm still taking one in the first round.
Yeah.
But if you think that not the stars need to align, but if I could just tweak this and give him a year and let him hang out and be a Steeler, and all of a sudden we stole one, I'll roll the dice on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just food for thought.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I wonder if
you have to explore every avenue of how you can find a superhero quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's one avenue.
Would you be willing to do that for Shuck?
Less so, because I don't think his ceiling's as high. I mean,
yeah.
And I wish he was 2 years younger, but that doesn't crush me. I would love Shuck to be my 2 this year.
He's going to be 26 in September of this year.
Yeah.
If he's your starting quarterback for 10 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
If I can land Shuck in some way, shape, or form, I mean, I'm still sticking by, for my Steeler quarterback room or board, Milroe's my 2. I'm taking him ahead of, if I have to take one at 21, him or Sanders, I'm taking him. I mean, it's just because
he's got the higher
ceiling.
That's the higher ceiling, I should say.
All I care about is high ceilings for my next quarterback.
Not saying you take him at 21.
That's not what I'm saying at all. If I had to choose between
Yeah.
him and Dart and Sanders, and someone comes out of a bottle and says, you have to pick one of those three, and Shuck, I'm taking Milroe for the Steelers, especially if I know Aaron Rodgers is going to be here. You know?
Yeah. I just wanted to give you
I don't know what to do on Shuck.
Explain
Yeah. I mean, I
what
get
the
a little
thinking
wound up.
was there.
I don't know what I'd pay for Shuck. I'd love Shuck to be Shuck comes in, beats out Rudolph, is clearly the 2 behind Rodgers, chomping at the bit to get in there. Like, that's the home run to me. I mean, we're asking a lot.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that that's possible, but and then you're like, all right, Aaron, thanks for the year. We got this 27-year-old that's ready to roll. Cool. And Rudolph's his 2.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
That's not that much different.
That's not crazy.
From what Green Bay did.
No, not at all.
Rodgers didn't start until he was 26, 27 years old.
Yeah,
Love didn't start
right,
until he was like
right.
25. Like,
these are mature dudes that have been around the block, and the locker room's going to respect them and things like that. Yeah. I'd love either one of those guys to end up in Latrobe somehow.
But I think the trade back is the key.
Yeah, because going from 3 to where you need to get a quarterback is hard.
Yeah.
And I don't want to trade next year's first.
Yeah, I'm just not interested. You don't know what's going to happen next year.
And I know the other day I brought that up, and my logic was, if they have Aaron Rodgers, they may pick later in round 1 than 21. And if you tell me next year's 27th pick, that's the plan. I mean, it could go worse. You may end up 11th, and you're mad you traded your first.
I think that's less likely to happen than picking at 27.
I agree. I think there's a better chance they pick 27 than 10.
Yeah.
If Rodgers is, if Rudolph's, then it's a different story.
Right.
I need to have Rodgers needs to be in place.
There needs to be some clarity.
Then the D tackle needs to be in place. Then we can start thinking Milroe. How do I go get that guy?
Yeah.
That interests me.
That's how the dominoes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but those first 2 aren't that hard to line up. Well, what do I know? Rodgers might. I'm not getting in Aaron Rodgers' head. I don't know.
This is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday right here on these very airwaves. You can also download the Steelers mobile app and get it directly on your phone. And you can look at our YouTube channel. That's also the Steelers YouTube channel. Check it out there. Give us a thumbs up. You can leave us your remarks on there. And, earlier this week, Matt got beaten up a little bit for the Jalen Milroe stuff.
Bring it on. I'm all ears. Just if you have a path to find him your next Josh Allen, I'm interested. Maybe you have a better idea.
Yeah,
you know?
I just laid it out there how the Ravens went and got Lamar Jackson.
Right. They saw an opportunity that we might not need him yet.
They still had Joe Flacco at that point, who was...
I mean, with what was it, 25th pick? They thought it was more important to take a tight end. You know, that was their plan was let's do our quarterback next year. If they redraft
it now, they would take Lamar at 25, and they wouldn't trade up for Hayden Hurst.
Like, I'm trying to get in the mind of Ozzie Newsome going into that draft. He's probably thinking, Joe's good for another year. Next year's our year, just like the Steelers are now. But if there's that one dude, Lamar's got a lot of ability.
Yeah.
Similar, you know.
Absolutely. Let's get to that break. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. We'll be back with more right after this. And we are back. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. And Matt, headline on ESPN story, I saw it last night, and I'm like, again with this? Jets' Justin Fields says he learned from benching by Steelers.
The word benching's just the problem here.
Yeah, like it wasn't a benching. He wasn't ever considered the starter. You can't be benched. It's no different than if a coach says, hey, you can't lose your starting job because of injury.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear that from time to time in the NFL. This is what happened. Russell Wilson was named the Steelers starter last year.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields came in and played because he was the backup. And when Russell Wilson was healthy to play again, Justin Fields went to the bench and Russell Wilson went into the starting lineup.
Absolutely. So Russell Wilson hurts his calf early in training camp. Hypothetical. That doesn't happen. He goes through camp. He's the week 1 starter. Hurts his calf the 3rd play of the game. The word benching would never be brought up.
Yeah, right.
That's how it was planned to be.
Yeah.
You know, right. The starter was injured on opening day.
And I'll give Fields credit because here's what he said about it.
I'm sure he's classy about it. And right.
He said, it was, of course, different for me in a space where I wasn't necessarily comfortable instead of being not playing.
Okay.
I get it. Like he was used to playing. He said, Coach Tomlin made a decision he thought was best for the team, and I'm never going to go against that. I'm not a selfish guy whatsoever, so I just tried to change my perspective, get better each and every day in practice.
He's real easy to root for, man. I hope he does great.
I wish him nothing but well.
Absolutely. I mean, there's been some quarterbacks that have gone, I'm like, oh, well. You know, but that dude, I hope the best for. I just think he has some flaws on the field that will be hard to overcome.
Yeah. Steelers fans should actually hope he does really well in New York.
You get something out of it.
Because you might get that might turn into a 3rd-round pick.
I hope him and Russell Wilson go to the Pro Bowl. 3rd-round picks galore, right?
You get a 3rd-round pick.
Right.
You get a 3rd-round pick.
Hand them out, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Do you think they draft a quarterback?
I think they could.
Who was one they drafted? The Florida State dude. I mean, late. He redshirted all year, and they have Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
They should consider it. It's really a 1-year deal for Justin.
Really is. Yeah, it's like a 1-year, $30 million deal.
He gets 30 guaranteed, and they could pick up the next year for 20, but 10 of that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the best, but I think it's going to be a tough team to win with.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, they got a lot of holes.
They got a lot of holes, tough environment, not a great history of winning.
Somebody on the message board the other day mentioned that why do you want Aaron Rodgers? He couldn't win last year in New York with a better roster than the Steelers. I'm like, I don't agree that the Jets roster was better than that of the Steelers.
It was a decent roster.
I didn't agree with it. Like, I remember when the Steelers played the Jets and they came in here and the Jets were favored in that game.
Yeah.
I was like, the wrong team's favored.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it then. I refuse to believe that was a better roster. Yes, they had some better players.
Yeah, they have some stars, yeah.
But if you look at the roster from top to bottom, it was not a good roster.
They don't have a lot of B-level guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Sauce and Quinnen and those guys are real good players, obviously, but they don't have a lot of who are the glue guys and the keep the whole thing together type dudes.
And they were old. Really, like across the board old. Like, yeah, the Steelers have some older guys.
They also weren't real well coached either.
Well, and there's
coach
that.
Got fired halfway through the season.
The coach got fired. First of all, they fired the offensive coordinator who had been fired in Denver for being a bad head coach.
That was
halfway through a
right
season.
There. Right.
They bring him in.
I don't know that Salah needed to be fired, but
that was not a good
coordinator
hire.
Situation was
that was a
poorly played.
mess.
Yeah.
Like that was a bad situation in New York.
I will say though, like going into the season, Rodgers looks like he's going to be healthy. I thought the Jets could be a potential playoff team. You know, it didn't work that way. They
talked about it even at that point.
And he didn't play well for the first 10 games.
When we were talking about him, like they're counting on a lot of old guys.
I think we always said the ifs or buts.
Yeah.
If this all lines
Can
up,
Tyron Smith play a full season?
Morgan Moses.
Can Morgan Moses hold up?
Right. They were pushing their chips in to win last year.
Yeah.
And it went miserably wrong.
Which is why they cut bait with a lot of those guys.
Including Rodgers.
Including Rodgers.
Right. It's like that didn't work.
Morgan
so
Moses. They let all those guys go.
Yeah. Tyron Smith's not back. Right. No, I get it.
So
it was an aggressive move. And after you traded for Rodgers and gave up pretty much a couple second-round picks, well, now you're
brought in all of his dudes.
Right. I guess they just restructured Lazard today.
They did. So that is not like somebody was speculating about that the other day. I think it was a Pro Football Talk. Will Aaron Rodgers want his best friend with him in Pittsburgh? Well, that's not happening.
That's not happening, right?
Yeah, and maybe the Steelers said, "Hey, we're not bringing in Lazard. That's not happening."
If he got cut out, he could be the third guy or in the mix. He's not a bad player.
Yeah,
but I would not have done what the Jets did with him and Cobb and all that kind of stuff too. Like they're not difference makers.
No.
I mean, if he wants to bring Devontae Adams with him 2 months ago,
a little late on that
before
one,
the Metcalf trade or whatever, like, all right.
Yeah, I'll take
those guys, right.
But, yeah, at this point, well, we're 2 weeks out from the draft, and we still don't know anything. But
no.
Maybe
everyone seems confident something's going to happen.
Time the draft rolls around, maybe we will know something. And
I would hope by then.
They don't do it. They don't have their first on-field workouts until the week after the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. I still wonder, what's Aaron thinking? Do you know the answer now, or are you still kicking it around?
Well, again, Mike Tomlin said he's been in constant contact with him, so I think he would have a pretty good idea of what Aaron's thinking.
There sure doesn't seem to be any panic from Steelerland.
No.
Or Rodgers land.
Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
See where it goes.
Yep.
2 weeks out from the draft.
We didn't do Twitter Thursday today.
Oh, we didn't.
That's been a good tradition.
I forgot all about it today.
It just dawned on me. Man, okay.
I've
Twitter
lost track
Friday.
of the days, yeah.
Me too. We'll Twitter Friday it up.
We'll Twitter Friday it up tomorrow.
That's been a smashing success.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But anyways, that's going to do it for today's show. So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, running the Justin Miller hotline and coming up with the theme for the Dean of Doom, and for Tyler Vittmeyer here, making sure our video gets out there onto YouTube. Give us a thumbs up there. We appreciate that. Tell us how dumb we are or how smart we are, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I am Dale Lolley. Well, we try to be. I'm Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.